The evolution of bluegrass music didn't just happen overnight. It has taken many years for bluegrass music to become what it is today. Bluegrass music is very different from today than it was many years ago when it first started. Today, I'd like to discuss the certain stylistic changes that created bluegrass and certain changes along the way that have shaped bluegrass into what it is today, and also discuss how modern bluegrass differs from traditional bluegrass. My name is Logan Grindle, and I have been studying the certain stylistic changes of bluegrass music for several years now. Now, first, I'd like to start off by talking about how bluegrass music started and its influences. Bluegrass music's influences go way back. Bluegrass is heavily influenced by the old time and folk music of the southern Appalachian region of the United States. It is also heavily influenced by blues and jazz music. An article put out by the Britannica Encyclopedia described bluegrass music as a direct descendant of old-time string band music, and also went on to say that it possesses a strong influence of jazz and blues music. So, how did bluegrass music go from just an idea and just something like old-time music? People would just play old-time music for fun and on the side. And how has it gone from that and gone on to be a world-renowned genre that has many followers around the globe? Well, it's simple. It had to start somewhere. It all started with Bill Monroe when Bill Monroe started his own band, Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys, in the 1940s. Bill Monroe said that he didn't want to copy anybody, so he basically just started his own genre of music. His style of music was very different from the country or blues music of that time, mainly because he used all acoustic instruments instead of the popular electric instruments of the time period. Now, Bill Monroe didn't do it on his own. He had help along the way, but he is credited as the first person to actually have started bluegrass. Now, there are many other innovations that have happened along the way with instrumentation and the addition of other instruments, but first I'd like to talk about the certain stylistic changes of certain instruments used in bluegrass music. Now, when many people think of bluegrass music, the first thing that comes to mind is the good old 5-string banjo. Now, traditionally, the banjo is played in what is called clawhammer style or old-time frailing style, which is typically like strumming the banjo, and there are a few melody notes picked out here and there, but it is typically very slow and not really used in a full band setting. That all changed, of course, when a man named Earl Scruggs came into the scene. He innovated a style of banjo playing called three-finger style or Scruggs style, which used finger picks on the thumb, index, and middle finger. Each of the notes are picked out individually with the three fingers, and it also creates a very clear and precise sound, and also adds drive and energy to bluegrass music, which is what it is known for. Now, of course, the banjo was a very innovative. Earl Scruggs was very innovative, and the banjo's innovations are very important to the evolution of bluegrass music. But there is one more that is very important to the evolution of bluegrass music, and that is how the guitar is played. Now, Lester Flatt played rhythm guitar in the original Bluegrass Boys band with Bill Monroe and Lester Flatt, but he basically just played rhythm and nothing beyond that. Now, since then, there have been many people that have tried to find ways to play guitar solos in bluegrass music, which really has never been done before. That's typically like a country or blues or jazz thing. But one of the first people to start playing bluegrass guitar solos was Doc Watson. An article on NorthCarolinaHistory.org describes the story on how Doc Watson developed his innovative style of guitar playing, which laid the foundation for bluegrass guitar. It stated that Doc Watson was playing in a band, and at certain events and dances that his band would go and play, people wanted to hear fiddle music. The only problem is they didn't have a fiddle player. So Doc Watson went and got him a fiddle, but soon became very frustrated when he was unable to play the fiddle. So he got the idea, well, why don't I just play fiddle songs on my guitar? Like play the fiddle melodies on my guitar. Then when I go to these shows and stuff, people can still hear fiddle music, just without a fiddle. Little did he know that this would become very popular and change the way the guitar will be played forever in bluegrass music. Another very innovative artist in bluegrass music for changing the way the guitar is played is the legendary Tony Rice. Tony Rice basically did what Doc Watson did, but he added jazz and blues influence to his style of playing, which was very different from anything that anybody had ever heard before. Now, the banjo and the guitar are very important aspects of bluegrass music and have made it into what it is today. But there have also been many other influences that do not involve instrumentation stylistic changing. The next thing that I would like to talk about is the incorporation of other instruments that are not traditional to bluegrass music. So, sometime during the 1970s, people started finding ways to incorporate non-traditional bluegrass instruments into bluegrass music. So basically, instruments that are not typically used in bluegrass, which would be acoustic guitar, banjo, mandolin, fiddle, and upright bass. These instruments would include drums, pedal steel guitar, piano, and electric bass, and sometimes electric guitar. An article on NoDepression.com titled Bluegrass Goes Electric mentions how the Osborne brothers, one of the first innovators of adding non-traditional instruments in bluegrass music. The article states that the Osborne brothers did this to gain popularity. The Osborne brothers were one of the earliest pioneers of integrating bluegrass music with the new country sounds of Nashville. All the while, they were able to maintain a consistent and strong following in the bluegrass community, while also gaining newer fans along the way with their fusion with country music. This changed the sound of bluegrass music by almost making it sound like country, but it also still stayed true to its traditional roots. This reached out to more people and appealed to larger audiences, which in return made bluegrass into what it is today and has expanded it and has created a whole new following for it. Another thing that is very important with adding non-traditional things is the use of effect pedals. So Billy Strings, a very popular bluegrass artist today, uses effect pedals on his guitar, which is very, very not traditional as in bluegrass standards. That's a rock and roll thing, using like phaser pedals, wah pedals, overdrive, and that kind of thing. But Billy Strings uses those on his guitar and his music. Modern bluegrass has found its way into sounding like country or rock, but it still stays true to that tradition. One of the main reasons why people started doing this is, like I said before, to expand the audience, to appeal to people that may not like traditional sounding bluegrass. And this has made bluegrass into what it is, made it into a very popular style of music. These sounds are very different. The effect pedals and the country sounds are very different from the traditional all acoustic bluegrass bands of yesteryear with Bill Monroe. In conclusion, bluegrass music is very different than it was during the days of Bill Monroe when it first started. Throughout the years, certain musicians have changed the way certain instruments are played and also incorporated other styles or instruments in bluegrass music. This would go on and change the way bluegrass music would be forever. People also, like I said, mixed aspects of other genres like country or rock into their own style of bluegrass. I hope that people still, in the future, will still keep innovating and start appealing to more and more people to make bluegrass even bigger, because that's what it's all about. Because in the long run, if you think about it, basically bluegrass music would just not be where it is today and wouldn't be what it is if it weren't for these innovative people in the past 7 decades. It just wouldn't be where it is today without those changes. And I'm grateful for those changes. Thank you